Hi, everyone. This is Terlena Murphy from Force Multiplier Consulting. Today, I'll be speaking with Tasha DeVent, owner of Allure Hair Salon. Today, I'll be speaking to her as a business owner who had to close her doors for 2 months while managing through a pandemic. What is that like, managing through a pandemic? Join us as we talk to her about the things she learned about herself and her business. Hi, Tasha. How are you today?
Hi, Terlena. I'm great, thank you. And yourself?
Well, thank you for joining me today. Could you let us know exactly how you got started in your business?
How I got started in my business or the hairdressing business? Or just my business? Which one do you want?
Oh, please share. I want to hear about your business and the hair business because I'm thinking that we were just going to talk about more. Surprise me.
I'm sorry, I only have Allure. But the hairdressing business will come first, obviously, before I birthed Allure. I've always had a passion for doing hair from young. So I knew that that's something that I wanted to do as I got older. Trying to figure out to navigate to get that, to make it a career is where I had to figure out. So finishing my last year of high school, we did this program called Work Experience. And I had 2 teachers that were very instrumental in that program, and they rock. They're rock stars as far as I'm concerned. Because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Yeah, I know I want to do hairdressing. They're like, okay, well, we can send you to a hair salon. So then it became like which hair salon at the time. So I came home, talked to my mom about it, and she prayed about it. And she said, the Lord said, Eden. Here we go. We go to Eden. I told my teachers, they set it up, and Eden said yes. So I get to Eden and I meet the salon manager at the time, who was an English guy. He wore a tie every day to work, dressed up like, it was very, different, but he really knew his craft. I wouldn't have changed my experience with him for nothing. I mean, it was very, very hard considering you think it's a real relaxed business, right? And it's not as relaxed as we think it is, because we're actually providing a service, right? Anyway, long story short, I go to Eden, I meet the owners of Eden, and they were very welcoming. And they were excited to have a Bermudian, come and join their team. So I started there as work experience from school. And then they offered me a job on Saturdays. And from Saturdays, it went to me finishing high school to offering me a full-time position. So that was great. So before I realized, I've always wanted to go to the UK to train for whatever I did. And I got the opportunity to go to the UK. I trained with a school called Tony & Guy, which is a world-renowned company. And training excellent. So I came back to Bermuda in 2003. Became qualified. I went back to work at Eden. Of course, they welcomed me back with open arms. I worked with Eden until 2008. And that's when I was able to open up Allure. So Allure was always one of my dreams, to basically have my own salon. I knew I wanted to have it one day. How that was going to work, I didn't have a clue. But thank God that it did work out, that I was able to open up Allure. So that's where I am today. And that happened in 2008. And now we're in 2020. My goodness. Yeah, so that's basically my long, short story.
12 years in business.
12 years in business.
Wow. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And I know that you moved from one space to another. So that was another dream you and I talked. So you had a business on Front Street. And while it was Front Street, it was below Front Street. So then your dream was to have something street level. And you opened—
My dream was always to have something street level. But before our recession kicked in, retail space in Bermuda were really, really hard to come around and come by. So basically you took what you can get. We incorporated in 2006. We didn't open until 2008. So we had to get all the logistics down and finding location, outfitting, all of that. So 2008, we opened up. I hit the ground running, and I promise you, Terlena, I haven't stopped since.
I think it's beautiful. I just
So,
love hearing about how you went from being an apprentice, let's say, from
yeah,
your experience.
Eden.
Yes, and then going away to school, learning your craft, coming home,
Mhm.
gaining experience, and then launching your business.
Yeah. So what I can appreciate is starting from the ground, literally from the ground up. I wouldn't trade in that experience for the world. Of course, when I was going through it, I'm like, now this, am I sure? But you get to appreciate it so much more, starting from the bottom
Mhm.
to the top. So it's encouraging when I can tell my story to young girls that are just starting out. And I'm saying, I promise you, we started cleaning rollers and doing whatever the stylist had asked us to do, the lunch runs, all the donkey work, basically what you do to get yourself in the door. So I'm grateful that I did have that experience, and I have that because you can appreciate where I can appreciate where I am a heck of a lot more because of the back story that I have, the groundation work, I call it.
I love it. All these new
Mm-hmm.
terms I'm learning as I speak to individuals, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a story. And I wish more young people entering their career understood that people started somewhere, and it's not always glamorous.
It's not, I don't think it's ever glamorous, is it?
Yes, because they always see the end result. They see the person who's walking around in the business suit, or they have the corner office, or they have the nice car or clothes, but they don't
Yeah.
understand it might
Where
have
that,
started out in the back office in the mail room, or it might
yep,
have started like dipping ice cream at the ice cream shop while you paid for courses to get a degree in the interim, you know. So
absolutely.
it's a story behind a lot of success
It's,
stories.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
That's very true.
I appreciate you sharing yours. So today, what I wanted to talk about, as I was prompted to start my YouTube channel for my website, it was during the pandemic, which we're still in. We were talking when we were in stay in place, and now you've reopened. We talked about reopening and opening. I want to talk about that. What can you walk me through your thoughts on what it was like as a business owner to be closed for 2 months? What is that like? You have a business that's running, and all of a sudden you have to shut your doors.
What is that like? Um, First and foremost, it feels like for me, I've never like taken vacation. And you know that I ever since I started my career, I realized that I had to be available. I had to be there. 2 week vacations for a stylist are not ideal for my, personally for me, because you were basically a service. I know that you have to take your breaks. I get it. But for a business that is driven by services and people coming to look specifically for you, you need to be there, right? So it's always nerve wracking for us to even think about vacation time, closing, not being there for our clients. So for us to have shut the doors for 2 months, which was not the first, it was just basically for, what did they say, a week or 2 weeks or something like that. We had to do 2 weeks first. Remember, we were going to do from the March until April the 18th, we were due to open back up. That's what government had said. And then we hear, oh no, we're going to shelter in place indefinitely, almost not, right? So because of the pandemic, Terlena, for me as a business owner, I can speak and say that it's something that we couldn't avoid. It's health first. We have to be safe. So basically with that being, it wasn't scary, strangely enough. I didn't think about, oh my goodness, our business. We were thinking about health first and the safety of the island, the safety of the country, the safety of the world. You know what I mean? So it didn't feel like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do for 2 months? I mean, we were in a pandemic. And I think that time we took to embrace getting creative. I think we all, as a whole in the world, became more creative in what we can do to make this whole new normal work for us, right? So with that being said, we just made sure that we were tuned in as to what was going on, make sure our staff is doing okay mentally, not financially, really, because the mental state of what everybody was going through, because it's scary for those of us to have children. We have to make sure our children are okay mentally, because we became school teachers, right? We became just whatever we had to do at home to make sure that our children. So my main concern really came away from the business and more towards family, and making sure that we get through this first pandemic that in my lifetime that I've been through. I mean, and it did help that it wasn't just our salon that was closed, it was everybody's salons that were closed. So it wasn't like, oh my God, we're the only ones. What are we going to, just rethinking things and not trying to think of it too much, just knowing that we just had to trust the process and just go from there. But once we were, keeping abreast to what was going on, we made sure that we had training in place for our staff. We made sure that we had basically with the hair salon, you have to be safe anyway, right? You have to make sure that you have, because at the end of the day, we all have been trained before Marketplace, before all these other places that were there having people come to them. They had to figure out how to keep people safe, right? But we as hairstylists, we knew how to keep people safe because that's what we do every single day of our lives. You know what I mean? PPE became the new, like I've known about PPE since forever. But now you hear on the news and, it's like, oh my God, PPE, what's that? What's that? Personal protective equipment. And that's something that we as hairstylists, since we work so closely to our clients, we've always had to make sure that we, number one, safety first. I can't pass on to you, but all of that. So it really wasn't hard for us to be able to open right back up. They said the 21st of July, when were we, June? The 21st of, what is it, May? I'm sorry.
Time is flying, but it's like, it's a blur at the same time.
So the 21st of May, when we heard we were opening up, we made sure that we were ready, okay? So we were making sure that the salon was being cleaned regularly, because when you close up a place, anywhere you close in Bermuda, it can happen. So we were making sure that everything was in place so that we can be able to open up and be ready to serve our clients that were waiting, busting out at the seams to get back in. So if that makes any sense, I mean, the pandemic, yes, it came. We figured it out. It's nothing that we could have done about it. So like I said, we just used ways just to refresh and just basically renew and rest and just focus on getting back in. Yeah. Like you recalculate yourself, and it was like a rejuvenation. It was like a nice, strange, much needed
Vacation.
time. Vacation / home / it was just, I feel like we managed quite well.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
When it comes to acquiring the resources you needed to open, you spoke a bit about PPE wasn't new to you. Safe habits was something that you as a stylist or being a business owner in a hair salon, this is what you're trained to do. So could you talk to me about the types of resources that may have been a little different and going about acquiring them and the training that you might have needed to do surrounding that?
Right. So the resources that you're talking about, you mean our PPE, the actual PPE that we had to get? Basically, with the different masks, that was basically one of the only different new things of PPE that we had to get, which was the face mask that we were required to wear. So you do know some places do with the shield as well, but we felt that with just the face mask for us was sufficient. Our clients are wearing one, we're wearing one. We felt that it was fine with just that. Now I do have them in place just in case my staff feels like they need one. We do have them there, but so far we've been, fine with just that. We're grateful that we do know each and every one of our clients, that we knew where they were going, where they weren't going, where they were coming from, all of that type of stuff. So we felt safe enough to let them come back in. We had to make sure that we had a touchless thermometer. That was easy to, pardon?
Was that hard to get?
No, actually, it wasn't hard to get. There was a lady that was selling them on social media, the bomb. She put up an ad, we responded, and she responded right away. And we were able to get it as soon as before we opened. So that made us feel extra safe. After that, we had to get our face mask. And I find that the blue ones, if that makes any sense, those blue ones there, those are the best ones that we feel comfortable enough to work in. They are comfortable, you feel safe, you can't blow through them, they don't hurt the back of our ears. Other than that, we got some hand sanitizer. I made sure I have hand sanitizer at each station. It wasn't a part of the protocol, but I put it there just to feel extra safe so the clients could touch it any single time they want. We made sure that we always have soap, hot running water to wash your hands with, clean towels, all of that. So basically, it really, really wasn't hard. The only different thing we had to get was the hand sanitizer, the face mask, and the cordless or the touchless thermometer.
How did the team respond to the closure at the time? Did you have any discussions that had to take place with them, or were they fine?
What happened, we were hearing to the grapevine that we might have to close, it might be closing, but we might be shutting down, whatever. So basically, my staff and I had a meeting. We talked about what can happen and what we're going to do whilst it's going on and making sure we keep in communication and contact. So they understood what was going to happen. So they were totally understanding that this is what was going to happen. This was before we even knew about the employment benefits, the extra help they were going to get. We just knew that we have to close for the safety of, number one is the law, and number two, the safety of ourselves and our clients. Yeah. So just assuring them that we were making sure that we were keeping communication with them, always touching base and making sure that as soon as we can get back in, we will be in, without having any hold up. It was basically a pandemic, which is something we cannot prepare for. We couldn't prepare for it. So we just basically just went along with whatever the guidelines, but tuning in to all the updates, which the government has done an amazing job. I think they did a super job keeping us posted as to what we can expect as a country, and we felt safe that way. Yeah.
My next question is, since reopening, what would you say has been the biggest lesson you've learned about yourself during this 3 months or so period?
Biggest lesson I've learned about myself will be that it's okay to do nothing. It's okay to relax. It's okay to chill out. That's what I learned. And it's okay. I learned that it's okay to do that without having to, we had all these big dreams as to what we were going to do whilst we were sheltering in place. We was going to clean our shed. We were going to clean out all sorts of things. My shed still looks the way it does, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I realized that we really need to take that time and just sit and be still and just listen. Just listen, because even though this pandemic came as a shock to us, it didn't come to us as a shock to God. So I feel like he always has me in his hand, my business in his hand, because had we been on Front Street, Terlena, Lord have mercy, I don't know if I probably would have been having this, I don't know if I would have done this conversation with you, but I might have. I don't know. I just know that where we are now as a company, as a business, we were in a much better position than being underground to being where we are now. So I am so grateful that the Lord that he saw that to move us when he did for such a time as this. So
I have to agree with you. There's a lot at some point it shifted for me where I felt like this pandemic wasn't a bad thing. Everything seems to be where it's supposed to be right now.
Yeah. Strangely enough, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have half the resources that we had last year at this time, but we're okay. I think we realized that all of that rushing and back to back and not taking time to sit down, we really needed to just, as a world, we needed to do that. You know what I mean? And I feel that it was a much needed time to just stop and just be still. So I've learned to stop, and if it doesn't get done, we still have beautiful sunsets. The water still was beautiful. It didn't require us to do too much, right? Besides just do what we have to do. So the biggest lesson I learned about myself, like you said, was just to be okay with being okay with not doing what I wanted to do, or what I thought I should have been doing.
I agree. So
Mm-hmm.
I know you wear a few different hats. You know, you're the business owner, you're a mom, teacher, I guess, because you're homeschooling. But also, I know that you teach for the Bermuda College. What advice would you give to persons considering starting a business at this time?
At this time, like tomorrow, if they want to open up, I would tell anybody that wants to open up a business, if you're passionate about it, I mean, really super uber passionate about it, go for it. You have to trust the process. You have to be willing to free fall. I mean, like open up and just be like, look, whatever, and just trust that if it's meant to be, it will be. I know that sounds like such a cliche, but it's really real. Like if it's meant to be, it'll absolutely be if you do the work behind it. Being a business owner, whether it be before the pandemic, before the recession, when everything was great, you have to be willing to work extremely hard. I mean, hard, hard, harder than you've ever worked before. Yes, it sounds great. Doors come with perks. However, before you can get those perks, you have to establish the business, establish yourself, make sure that you are credible, make sure your business is something that's going to be sustainable, whatever that looks like to you or whatever that looks like for your business model, and getting the right people to network with is very, very important. And believing in whatever you want to do. You have to believe in it first. If you don't, I don't know. And being mindful of who you share your dream with, because you never know what can possibly happen when you do say whatever you say to whoever. As long as you got a good support system behind you, whether that be family or friends, whatever it is, you have to have someone that's going to encourage you to say that, you know what, you can do it. It's going to be nights where you're like, did I do the right thing? And like I said, trust in the process. Really, really, it pays off. You stick to the wickets, and the runs definitely will come.
I love it. So another question. Again, you're molding young, not necessarily young. You might have the person who's changing careers in your class. For the person who's seeking employment right now, what advice would you give them? Because it is an employer's market. I've been saying this in every interview that I've been in. It is an employer's market, similar to the real estate trend where it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. It's an employer's market.
For anyone that's seeking employment right now in the climate that we're in, I wouldn't say to discount yourself. Let's not discount ourselves, no matter what it is that you're going to be doing. Whether you show up to wash someone's dishes or you show up to clean somewhere, just know that right now, just because it is an employer's market, it doesn't make you any less than what you are. And it doesn't mean that this opportunity right now cannot catapult into something else. So I would go in with the mindset as to, I can add value to this business, no matter what it is, whether just me showing up is me. You understand? And making yourself relevant, going the extra mile. And that's before it was an employer's market. Take the initiative. Just go and I think I was so excited to get back to work that you just willing to just do anything for anybody, right? Just to make their experience even better than it was before, because there are some uncertain times right now. And I think going in with an open mind, I mean, really open, because you might have to do some things that you wouldn't have necessarily thought you'd be doing, but just being grateful and appreciative. And I think that right there is the best advice I can give, that just don't sell yourself short when it comes to what it is that you're going to be asked to do around this time.
I agree. I love the advice that you're giving. It is about showing up. Do not let that experience, whatever it is, define you in that moment. We all started, as we started our conversation today, we all started somewhere. And yes, we have to take a step back because we may not have the employment that we had had a couple of months ago, but it's not going to be forever.
No.
And you can build from there. It's about what can you do now to be gainfully employed and to be productive right now, and use that to move on to your next thing, right? For those of us who are experienced, we know we've done it before. We just didn't expect to have to do it again, if that's
Again.
what you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Even when we opened up Allure, my business plan did not have a recession in it. So we've constantly had to reinvent the wheel, you know what I mean? And make sure, what are we going to do to get clients to come and see us in these uncertain times? And it's the same thing kind of happening right now. People are not really sure of what's going to happen next. So we have to make sure that we are relevant, whether you think that you are doing someone a favor. At the end of the day, the world's round. So we all help each other out. And it's important to make sure that you stay kind, you stay open, and you stay willing. And I think that's when you get the blessings coming back to you. What you put out definitely comes back.
I think I want to end it on that note right there. I think that's perfect advice you can give. Thank you for talking with me today. I appreciate your journey. I appreciate what you've had to share. And I hope we can have another discussion, because you and I talk all the time. And
Yes,
I love when business people give or share advice and guidance. And we talk about the type of employment issues that one could have and how we can answer that. So
yes.
send an invitation to you to join me again sometime in the future, and continued success.
Thank you. Same to you, honey.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Tasha. Such an interesting journey to hear about how she was an apprentice in high school, working at Eden, and then going away to school, coming back, and years later, opening her business and being in business for 12 years and still growing from strength to strength. And as she mentioned, never thinking to put a pandemic or recession in your business plan. And how do you pivot from that and continue to grow? Well, she's done that by following her faith in God and how she relies on that faith to get through the difficult times. And also providing great customer service and thinking about the students that she also teaches and provides advice and guidance to. I really enjoyed our conversation. And again, I hope she will come back and share more of her experiences with us. Thank you for joining me today. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you soon.